China has been hosting the 10th ministerial meeting of the China-Arab Cooperation Forum. As the name indicates, this is the 10th year that China are hosting this forum. Previously, the focus has always been on trade, in particular energy trade. But this year, security issue, the Gaza crisis, is high on the agenda. So I want to share with you two things. One is the opening remarks by President Xi Jinping, and then the joint statement between China and Arab countries on the Palestinian issue. So the first is the opening remarks by President Xi Jinping. Before the opening, 4 countries also had a state visit: UAE, Egypt, Bahrain, and Tunisia. As you can see, these are both Sunni and Shia countries. Egypt can also be regarded as secular. So the message is these are countries who, with different religious background, but they would want to work with China. And here is President Xi Jinping's remarks.
Your Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, Your Excellency President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, Your Excellency President Kais Saied, Your Highness President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Your Excellency Secretary General Ahmed Abu Ghait of the League of Arab States, heads of delegations, distinguished guests, friends. It gives me great pleasure to attend the opening ceremony of the Ministerial Conference of the China-Arab States Cooperation Forum. I always find it heartwarming to meet Arab friends. The friendship between the Chinese and Arab peoples is deeply rooted in our friendly exchanges along the ancient Silk Road, in our joint struggles for national liberation, and in our win-win cooperation in promoting national development. China-Arab relations have kept scaling new heights since the beginning of the new century. At the first China-Arab State Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in December 2022, my Arab colleagues and I to build a China in the new era. China is satisfied with the progress we have made in delivering on the summit's outcomes. It will work with the Arab side to enhance the role of the summit in providing strategic guidance for continued leapfrog growth of China-Arab relations. I am pleased to announce that we will host the second summit in China in 2026, which will be another milestone in China-Arab relations. Distinguished guests, friends, as changes unseen in a century unfold rapidly across the world, both China and Arab states strive to accomplish their historical missions of national rejuvenation and faster national development. Building a China-Arab community with a shared future is a strong statement of our common desire for a new era of China-Arab relations and a better future for the world. China will work with the Arab side as good partners to make our relations a model for maintaining world peace and stability. In this turbulent world, peaceful relations comes from mutual respect, and lasting security is built on fairness and justice. We will, together with the Arab side, respect the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, the independent choice of every nation, and the reality formed in history, and strive together for solutions to hotspot issues that uphold fairness and justice and sustain peace and security. China will work with the Arab side in the spirit of equality and mutual benefit to make our relations a fine example of high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. The Silk Road spirit is passed on from generation to generation. It keeps China-Arab relations abreast with the times to the benefit of the two peoples. In this interdependent world, we will further synergize development strategies with the Arab side we will strengthen cooperation in key areas such as oil, gas, trade, and infrastructure. Step up fostering new growth areas such as artificial intelligence, investment, financing, and new energy. And embark together on an innovative and green path to prosperity. China will work with the Arab side in the spirit of inclusiveness and mutual learning to make our relations a paradigm of harmonious coexistence between civilizations. In a world of growing diversity, more dialogue means less confrontation, and more inclusiveness means less estrangement. Peace, truth, integrity, and inclusiveness are the common pursuit of Chinese and Arab peoples. We are ready to work with the Arab side to promote people-to-people exchanges, champion the common values of humanity, and create a stellar example of mutual learning among civilizations in the new era. China will work closely with the Arab side to make our relations a model for promoting good global governance. The entire humanity shares one common future, which has become an inevitable trend. But deficits in governance, trust, peace, and development are getting wider. This calls on us to improve global governance under the principle of planning together, building together, and benefiting together. We are ready to work with the Arab side to jointly champion an equal and orderly multipolar world, and a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization, and set a model of South-South cooperation on global governance. Distinguished guests, friends, at the first China-Arab State Summit, I put forward 8 major cooperation initiatives for our practical cooperation. Since then, the Belt and Road cooperation documents we signed have expanded to cover a full range of areas thanks to our joint efforts over the past 1 year and more. New progress has been made in scientific R&D and technology transfer. Trade and energy cooperation have scaled new heights. Small and beautiful livelihood projects are advancing in parallel with signature flagship projects. Cooperation in areas such as food security, green innovation, and health is deepening and getting more substantial. Platforms for people-to-people exchanges and cooperation are functioning well. Early harvests have been achieved in all the 8 major cooperation initiatives. Moving forward, China is ready to work with the Arab side on that basis to put in place the following 5 cooperation frameworks to step up the building of a China-Arab community with a shared future. The first is a more dynamic framework for innovation. China will build with the Arab side 10 joint laboratories in such areas as life and health, AI, green and low-carbon development, modern agriculture, and space and information technology. We will enhance cooperation on AI to make it empower the real economy and to promote a broad-based global governance system on AI. We also stand ready to build with the Arab side a joint space debris observation center and a Beidou application cooperation and development center, and step up cooperation in manned space mission and passenger aircraft. The second is an expanded framework for investment and finance cooperation. We are ready to establish with the Arab side an industry and investment cooperation forum, continue to expand the China-Arab States Interbank Association, and implement at a faster pace the cooperation projects that are financed by the special loans in support of industrialization in the Middle East, as well as by the credit line for China-Arab financial cooperation. China supports closer cooperation between financial institutions from the 2 sides, welcomes Arab states to issue panda bonds in China, and welcome Arab banks to join the cross-border interbank payment system. China is also ready to deepen exchanges and cooperation on central bank digital currency with the Arab side. The third is a more multifaceted framework for energy cooperation. China will further enhance strategic cooperation with the Arab side on oil and gas and integrate supply security with market security. China is ready to work with the Arab side on new energy technology R&D and equipment production. We will support Chinese energy companies and financial institutions in participating in renewable energy projects in Arab states with total installed capacity of over 3 million kilowatts. The fourth is a more balanced framework for mutually beneficial economic and trade ties. China will continue to implement vigorously the development cooperation projects with a total worth of 3 billion RMB yuan. It stands ready to accelerate the negotiations on bilateral and regional free trade agreements and advance the dialogue mechanism for e-commerce cooperation. It welcomes active participation of the Arab side in the China International Import Expo and is willing to expand import of non-energy products from the Arab side, especially agricultural products. The fifth is a broader framework for people-to-people exchanges. China is ready to establish with the Arab side the China-Arab Center of Global Civilization Initiative, expand the size and influence of the China-Arab Research Center on Reform and Development, accelerate the establishment of such platforms as the Think Tank Alliance, the Youth Development Forum, the University Alliance, and the Research Center on Cultural and Tourism Cooperation. China will invite 200 leaders of Arab political parties to visit China every year. We plan to work with the Arab side to achieve the goal of 10 million two-way visits of tourists in the next 5 years. Distinguished guests, friends, the Middle East is a land bestowed with broad prospects for development, but a war is still raging on it. Since last October, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict has escalated drastically, throwing the people into tremendous sufferings. War should not continue indefinitely. Justice should not be absent forever. Commitment to the two-state solution should not be wavered at will. China firmly supports the establishment of an independent state of Palestine that enjoys 67 borders and with East Jerusalem as its capital. It supports Palestine's full membership in the UN and supports a more broad-based, authoritative, and effective international peace conference. On top of the previous 100 million yuan RMB of emergency humanitarian assistance, China will provide an additional 500 million RMB yuan of assistance to help ease the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and support post-conflict reconstruction. We will donate $3 million to the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East in support of its emergency humanitarian assistance to Gaza. As an Arab saying goes, friends are the sunshine in life. We will continue to work with our Arab friends to carry forward the spirit of China-Arab friendship, build together a better future, and make the road sunny toward a China-Arab community with a shared future. Thank you.
The next, I want to share with you the joint statement between China and Arab countries on the Palestinian issues. I want to share with you a very useful tool. This is the statement on the Chinese Foreign Minister website. I only find the Chinese version. I didn't find the English one. Now, one tool you can use is called Immersive Translate. So when you click on that, then you can find the original language. So in this case, it's the simplified Chinese. And if you want to translate that to English, you just find English and then translate. And then it will translate into English. And you can see the original language and the English version of it. Now, the translation, I would say probably 85 to 90% correct. They still make some mistakes from time to time, but you will get a pretty good idea for the most part. So this is a very useful tool, the immersive translate. And you can just Google it and download it. I find that's very useful. And you can find all kinds of language. I did translate other language, more than just Chinese and English. So now regarding the statement itself, I used this tool, but I also made some changes. There were some minor mistakes. So I translated that and then used the AI to read it, convert the text into speech. So here it is.
Joint statement between China and Arab countries on the Palestinian issue. On May 30th, 2024, the 10th Ministerial Conference of the China-Arab States Cooperation Forum was held in Beijing. The two sides conducted in-depth discussions on the Palestinian issue. The two sides believe that relevant resolutions of the United Nations Security Council and the United Nations General Assembly, including Security Council Resolution 2728, must be fully and effectively implemented and should work together to promote an early ceasefire and cessation of war in the Gaza Strip and promote an early, comprehensive, just, and lasting solution to the Palestinian issue. Both parties reached consensus on the following. 1. Both sides condemn Israel's continued violations against the Palestinian people. There have been 125,000 Palestinian civilian casualties in the Gaza Strip, most of them women and children. The Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip are forced to suffer a deadly famine and blockade, cutting off all livelihoods. Residential areas, hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, and infrastructure in the Gaza Strip have been systematically destroyed, and thousands of Palestinian prisoners have been detained and abused. 2. Both sides condemn the invasion of Rafah City, the bombing of refugee camps, and the control of the Rafah crossing. 3. Both sides oppose the implementation of plans, intentions, and actions to forcibly relocate the Palestinian people outside their territory, which will ruin the opportunity for peace in the Middle East and lead to the expansion and worsening of regional conflicts. 4. Both sides require the Security Council to issue binding resolutions to achieve an immediate, comprehensive, and sustained ceasefire, stop the forced relocation of the Palestinian people, ensure the delivery of relief supplies throughout Gaza, implement relevant Security Council resolutions, and return life to normal in the Gaza Strip. Both sides condemned the United States' use of veto power to prevent Palestine from becoming a full member of the United Nations. 5. The two sides support the provisional measures orders issued by the International Court of Justice on January 26, March 28, and May 24, 2024, in South Africa's case against Israel for violating the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, and believe that Israel should abide by relevant laws. Provisions, international humanitarian law. Both sides emphasize that Israel, as the occupying power, is responsible for the dire humanitarian conditions in Gaza. 6. The Arab side emphasized that it should implement the resolutions made at the Special Arab Islamic Countries Summit held in Riyadh on November 11, 2023, including breaking the Israeli blockade of the Gaza Strip and enabling humanitarian relief provided by Arab, Islamic countries, and the international community. Supplies can immediately enter the entire north and south of Gaza by sea, land, and air. China expresses its understanding. 7. The two sides emphasized that peace, security, and stability in the region cannot be achieved without ending the occupation of the Palestinian territories, with East Jerusalem as its capital, the occupied Golan Heights in Syria, and the occupied territories of Lebanon. Call on the international community to take irreversible measures to promote the establishment of an independent Palestinian state and achieve a political settlement on the basis of international law and relevant international resolutions, including Security Council November 242, 1967, 338, 1973, 497, 1981, Resolutions 1515, 2003, and 23 and 34, 2016, as well as the entire content and key points of the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative, enable the Palestinian people to fulfill their inalienable and legitimate rights, including the right to self-determination of their destiny, The establishment of the 1967 borders the right to an independent Palestinian state based on East Jerusalem as its capital, and the right to return and compensation for Palestinian refugees stipulated in United Nations General Assembly Resolution 194, 1948. Support the State of Palestine to become a full member of the United Nations. Both sides reiterated that the two-state solution is the only realistic way to resolve the Palestinian issue. 8. Both sides call for the convening of a larger, more authoritative and more effective international peace conference as soon as possible, and to launch an authoritative peace process based on recognized international principles. The above-mentioned process should be carried out within a determined time frame and under international guarantees until the end of Israel's occupation of East Jerusalem and other 1967 Palestinian territories, the occupied Golan Heights of Syria, and the remaining occupied territories of Lebanon. 9. Both sides support the Palestinian government in carrying out its duties in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem in accordance with recognized international principles. The Gaza Strip is an integral part of the State of Palestine. Both sides emphasize their support for the Palestinian government's relief efforts in Gaza. Both sides reaffirmed that the Palestine Liberation Organization is the only legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, and called on all Palestinian factions to unite under the PLO flag and assume their respective responsibilities in a national partnership under the leadership of the PLO. 10. Both sides welcome the adoption of Resolution A-RES-ES 1023 by the United Nations General Assembly on May 10, 2024. The resolution determined that the State of Palestine is eligible to become a full member of the United Nations, requiring the Security Council to reconsider supporting Palestine's accession to the United Nations and granting the State of Palestine more rights. 11. Both sides call for support for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, to prevent its closure. We welcome the resumption of capital injections by some countries into the institution, and call on countries that have frozen capital injections to resume support for the institution. We welcome the results of the independent investigation into the work of this agency, recognize its neutrality and professionalism, and believe that this agency is indispensable and irreplaceable. 12. Both sides welcome the recent recognition of the State of Palestine by many countries, stress that this is a driving force for the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people and international and regional peace, security, and stability, and call on countries that have not yet recognized the State of Palestine to do so as soon as possible. 13. The Arab side appreciates China's long-standing stance on supporting the Palestinian issue and the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people on bilateral and multilateral occasions, and appreciates Chinese President Xi Jinping's proposals on resolving the Palestinian issue, as well as China's proposals on the Palestinian issue, a series of initiatives and propositions, appreciates China's upholding fairness and justice on the Palestinian issue and its unremitting efforts to promote the peace process, appreciates China's support for Palestine in improving people's livelihood and economic development, providing humanitarian assistance to Palestine, and being committed to promoting the Palestinian state become a full member of the United Nations. 14. Both sides emphasize that Israel's unilateral measures aimed at changing the status quo in Jerusalem are ineffective, support the Hashemite family's protection of Islamic and Christian holy sites in occupied Jerusalem, and their efforts to protect the Arab, Islamic, and Christian character of the city, and its role in preserving the existing historical and legal status of Jerusalem and its holy sites. Both sides emphasized that they adhere to the existing historical and legal status of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. 15. Both sides condemned the Israeli government's continued advancement of targeted settlement plans, which aim to change the existing historical and legal status of the occupied Palestinian territory and the occupied Syrian Golan Heights. 16. Both sides support the efforts of His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco as chairman of the Jerusalem Committee. Both sides emphasize the important role played by the chairman of the Jerusalem Committee and the efforts of the Jerusalem Wealth House, an affiliate of the committee. 17. Both sides support Egypt in taking all measures to deal with the impact of the violations in the Gaza Strip and rely on Egypt's efforts to deliver relief supplies to the Gaza Strip immediately, continuously, and in sufficient quantities. Both sides express support for the measures taken by Egypt to safeguard national security, which is also a basic component of the security of the Arab nation. 18. Both sides support the joint efforts of Egypt and Qatar to promote a lasting ceasefire and return life to normal in the Gaza Strip. Both sides support the role played by Egypt and Algeria in achieving reconciliation among Palestinian factions. 19. Both sides appreciate the role played by Algeria and the UAE on Palestinian issues during their tenure as non-permanent members of the Security Council, including their efforts to promote the adoption of relevant UN Security Council resolutions related to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and promote the State of Palestine to become a full member of the United Nations. 20. Both sides appreciate the call by the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Qatar for immediate action to help all Palestinian orphans who have lost their parents and families due to Gaza's aggression. It calls on all countries and the international community to work together to provide necessary medical and psychological support to orphans and amputee children within the framework of relevant efforts of the Arab League. 21. Both sides appreciate Algeria's efforts to support the Palestinian issue at the political and material levels, and appreciate President Tebboun's positive efforts, especially in promoting the convening of an internal reconciliation meeting among Palestinian factions on October 13, 2022, and the adoption of the Algiers Declaration. The conference is a positive step on the road to achieving national unity in Palestine.
My take of the statement is this, that China and Arab countries clearly has been discussed a lot on this issue. And what they did is that they jointly went through all the relevant laws and resolutions and declarations, including the ICJ rulings. What they're saying is that here are the laws and rules and declarations and the rulings, etc. And the problem is that it's not got implemented. The problem is Israel and United States, who has not been following all these resolutions or declarations or rulings. And what they're showing to the world is that there is a united front, which is my understanding based on the Chinese media report is that the message coming from President Xi Jinping is China is ready to assist, to mediate, but the Arab countries need to have a united front. And this statement pretty much showed that the Arab country has have a united front and working with China, and they would want to get this problem solved, bring ceasefire, immediate ceasefire to the Gaza area, and eventually have a two-state solution to have sustainable long-term peace in the Middle East. That's what the statement has been showing. Now, it's remained to be seen whether this could be enough to really achieve that goal. But so far, a few other things has been happening, which is interesting. One is during Iranian President Raisi's funeral, many Arab countries' leaders went there, including MBS from Saudi. And in that funeral, many meetings took place. And then they continued the meetings during this conference, this forum, countries having meetings amongst themselves, between each other, and of course, meetings between China and different countries. All these have no doubt really promoted the friendship and the unity amongst all the Arab countries and their cooperation with China. At the same time, it does seem that Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis are also receiving advanced weapons and missiles, and it seems like getting more endless supply of that. It's not just Iran who is providing weapons. So it's a reasonable assumption that other Arab countries has been helping all these organizations. It is rumored that Saudi has opened its airspace to the Houthis, and Syria has already opened its airbase to Iran. The Chinese media believe that all these are the mounting pressure that lead to Biden put forward a peace deal that requires a permanent ceasefire, which Israel already rejected. But nonetheless, Biden is feeling the pressure. He even said, in his speech, he said they made it clear, they meaning Israel, made it clear, they want to occupy Gaza. They want to keep fighting for years, and hostages are not a priority to them. This is not a secret. Everybody knows that. But it is remarkable that Biden pointed out and openly admitted that. Now, these are all possibly the result of all these mounting pressures, because it is clear that Arab countries are trying to put a unified front to really get this problem solved. Now, is this going to be enough? Remains to be seen. But I do think this is an important step. And there are other topics that I'm working on right now. I'm working on the topic of relationship between China and Russia. Why hasn't the two countries built an alliance? Will they? Okay, and if so, when? And the other topic is Taiwan. Why is Taiwan so important? Why China hasn't taken action to unify Taiwan? Because clearly China is capable, militarily is capable. And when will China do to eventually unify with Taiwan? So these are the questions that I'm working on. And I welcome if you have any input, any ideas, suggestions, etc. Please put in the comment section. And if I find them useful, I will incorporate that in my program. In the meantime, I'll be watching and keep you posted with whatever come up. It seems like every day there's something new, something interesting. Please hit the like button if you like my program, and subscribe. Thank you.